Chance. So someone reached out and wanted to know my opinion on this property. It's 6382 West Willow Road Drive, unit 6382, Palos Heights, Illinois. First of all, it is a contingent property, meaning that someone's given an offer to the sellers, and the seller has accepted an offer, but it hasn't yet closed. That happened about 10 days ago. The Z estimate reflects the for sale price pretty closely, although you never know for sure if that's exactly accurate. But it is a good sign, and this is a 3-bed, 2-bath at 1,500 square feet. Now, as we look through the pictures here, I did kind of flip through this already, so that's the reason why I was at the bottom of the list. But this is a 2-car garage, and it's a pretty nice size estate. Just judging by the pictures, it looks like the living room is a pretty good size, and it kind of flows into the dining room. I would wonder a little bit what year build this is. The cabinets look a little bit dated. I would say these are probably 70s or 80s, 1970s, 1980s cabinets. And the stove, dishwasher, and refrigerator, judging just by the looks of things, has not really been updated. Neither has the furnishings that they're using to decorate the place. Though not a huge negative, I would say. Again, the house is not going to be coming with the furniture. And right now what's coming to mind is I just want to know what year build this house is. Is it 1970s, 1980s? 1985, pretty close. So I would almost judge on, I would just, based on what I'm looking at here, that this is probably an original owner that hasn't moved out or updated anything. But well kept, like the property has been well maintained. Wallpaper is a little bit dated, although it doesn't really have a bad style and look to it, you know? I would really say that it doesn't have a bad style or look. And the furniture here, just to give you an idea of the size of the room, I would say. And just, I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm just looking at this. Maybe this is a queen or king size bed. I'd say this is like a moderately sized room, not significantly large or significantly small. This room here with this couch here is a little bit interesting because on the right side I see that there's kind of next to the right side of the window there's kind of like what do you call it? Kind of like at the height of a desk or a little bit higher. I don't know if that's where the fireplace comes down into the first floor and we're on the second floor here or something. I'm not sure, you know. The countertop in this bathroom is an extra large size, which is nice. You can put extra things in on this counter. I'm wondering if there's a shower in the other area of this bathroom, or if this is what do they call it, like a powder room. A powder room is just a room without a shower. It's got a toilet and a sink. So I'm wondering if that's the case here. And that's pretty much it for the pictures. I would say 1985, the, what do you call it? The floor plans, they're not as efficiently designed. You also have, notice the 1980s style flow through between the kitchen and the dining room. So there's kind of a slit instead of having a wall that separates the room completely. The more modern way of doing this would be to knock the wall out between the kitchen and the dining room, and they call it a great room. But usually the kitchen would flow into the living room, not into the dining room. So this is kind of, you know, it's not the most modern type of look to it, but you know, it just depends on what you want. The positive thing is you get a lot more cabinets in the kitchen, and I personally love a lot of cabinets because you can store a lot of stuff. So if you're gonna knock this wall out and flow it into this so-called great room, and the dining room could then continuously flow into the living room as well, which you can see in the picture above here, You know, you can tell that the dining room kind of flows into the living room. I don't know if you'd really have the effect of the modern great room as much as you would want, you know, as much as I'm saying it's more modern. So you lose the cabinets and you'd have this flow through. I think the cabinets are reasonable looking. I'm not an interior decorating professional, but the colors, you could possibly have these cabinets painted so that it has a more modern look to it, and you wouldn't have to even replace the cabinets, and that could go quite a long way. And you could also refinish the laminate with a laminate cover. It would be kind of like laminate. It'd be kind of like putting wallpaper on top of it. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but if you put this material on top of it, you could really give it like a really nice pop look to it that is very low cost. Anyway, let's move on here. And 1985, what's good about it is it's about 35 years old, so relatively new in the span of things. There are properties that are 100 years old. If you were to consider houses that are 100 years old, could have major plumbing, old electrical, cloth wire, things that are very expensive to replace or redo. This property, I would say, has a minimal amount of things needed. Mostly it's just updating. So if you can get a good deal on the pricing, in the sense that it's kind of dated inside, and modernizing it would push the price up in value, there might be something here for you. Though a little bit more investigation on the pricing would be needed. And I can see that they've done some price reductions. So here they had listed for sale in October. From 200,000, they've continued putting price reductions, and now they're down to like 169. And who knows, maybe there's another $10,000 off that the buyer or the seller's accepted from the buyer. Now, we don't have any tax history here, so for the first time here, I'm going to actually physically take this property and see if I can put it into Cook County propertyinfo.com. Okay, Cook County propertyinfo.com, and let's see what we're going to generate here. West Willowwood Drive, West Willowwood Drive, and I think it was Palos Heights. Okay, and let's just see if we can get the search. You can even get, you know, the mailing address. Now this may be the owner, it may not be the owner. And the tax assessed value is $146,490, which is kind of cool because it kind of gives you an idea of what the city thinks it's worth. It may be accurate, it may not be accurate, but this is another kind of number you could go off of. And I think in negotiating, you could say, hey, look, the tax assessed value is 146, you're asking for 169. Maybe you could meet in the middle at 155, 159, you know, and you could see if that you could play with that. Okay. The tax billed amount here is $1,225.53 for the year 2020. Although this might only be the first assessment, and usually there's two assessments. The first assessment might be, say, 60-70% of the bill, and then the second assessment might be the remainder. So just because this 2020 is saying 1225, you know, 2019 showing about 1758, and you can tell every year they've gone up about, you know, $50 to $100. So I would just, as a ballpark figure, I would take 2019 and add $75 to that and say, hey, look, we're probably looking at $1,825 for the tax, for the annual tax. And that's not too bad, actually. Really not too bad. Now, when we look at exemptions, it looks like 2019, the 2 exemptions were received, certificate of error was applied. So the 2 most common ones off the top of my head would be homeowners exemption, meaning that you live in the property, and second would be a senior exemption. The documents for deeds and liens shows a release in 1992, amendment condo declaration 1998. Interesting. So it's possible that it was a build in 1985, though it might have been released somehow to a new buyer or purchaser in 1992, and then as apartment buildings it was redeclared as a condo in 1998. Did it take, between 92 and 98, that's 6 years to like redo this whole development? I think that's a long time. Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm just trying to imagine what this information is trying to tell me. You know what I mean? To reconstruct the past. I'll give you an example. I purchased a condo a couple years back, and it was built in the 1980s, but they had remodeled the whole complex, 400 unit complex, in 2006. So the units look brand new construction, redone, just really. So even though it was built in 1980, it was remodeled in 2006. It had a 2006 style and look to it. And this can kind of give you a clue to the past. Let's go back to Zillow and see if there's anything else here that may be elucidating. Gas heating, central cooling, attached garage, which is good to know. It's attached garage, so you can enter the garage from the inside of the house. Brick exterior, nice. Roof asphalt. So let me just comment on roofs. Asphalt roofing is the most common. They're usually guaranteed for 30 years. You won't see as often, but some of the more stronger roofs might include, I did the words just passing my mind right now, but it's kind of like red tile roofing. Those things will last 50 to 250 years, maybe even longer. But they're rated 50 years guarantee, and they're more expensive roofing materials. However, most roofs are asphalt roofing, and they're rated for 30 years. You have an HOA fee of $235 per month. So if you tack that on to the annual property tax, what we're saying around $1,800, your total bill would be $1,800 plus about $2,500 here. So you can kind of do the math and see if that's in your budget. Though again, because of the style and the look of this, it looks so much like its own unit. It doesn't look like the condo's attached to any of the other units. I would seriously call the HOA and find out if it is including any exterior improvements, repairs, 24-hour security. Is it a gated neighborhood? Things like that. What do you get for that HOA fee? And this is not accurate. The estimated monthly cost, I would put in into this, I would put 3.5% down or 5% down. Those are more common with first-time home buyers. And with the schools, 6 out of 10, better than average. Let's say 5 out of 10 is average. Typically, the better the school districts, the higher the quality of the neighborhood, the more coveted, the more desirable the neighborhood would be to higher income folks. And why is that good? Well, because higher income folks in an area where there is a limited supply of housing can drive up the housing values pretty good over a long period of time, versus, let's say, if you're in a where the school ratings are lower, you have to think, well, who's going to buy into that neighborhood? Because people who are upper middle class, they're going to want to send their kids to a nice school. Now, what Zillow does not get is maybe private schools, magnet schools. Now they're online schools. People sometimes they do home education for their kids, so that might not be it might not be captured by this kind of data, but this is something to think about. Zip code stats, homes increasing, and if you've seen any of my other videos, I talk about how we don't know for sure if home value has been going up and if they will continue to go up, but it's been going up for the last about 12 years. This home is valued 42% lower than a typical home. I want to tell you, like, just be careful with this one because it is a condo. Zillow is probably taking home values and then taking it into the mix of values here. Because it is a condo, it can only be appraised based on other condos in this neighborhood. It cannot be appraised based on single-family residences outside of this neighborhood. So when you go back to resell this house, it will have a hard time moving up in value. So you get a good deal when you buy it, but you'll have a hard time getting the appreciation. Now, the appreciation will happen. It's just going to happen a lot slower than you're going to want it to happen. So while you see people outside of your neighborhood, their houses are going up in value, you're going to see like yours is not going up as well. And that can be captured somewhat by the HOA fees. If you calculate the HOA fee as sort of part of the mortgage cost or the property tax, the overall cost of purchase, and just a ballpark figure, this 235 using a 1% factor, it's almost like saying the house is $23,500 less than it's worth, or you could say it's $23,500 more than the house is worth. Someone that doesn't have to pay HOA fees may have $23,500 more buying power. They would be able to buy a house, in this case, a house that's worth $170,000 plus another $23,000. You know, just to give you an idea of what I mean by this, how this is being calculated. So if they didn't have to pay the HOA fee, they could go buy a house that's worth $193,000. You know, I'm just giving you the idea here. My numbers may not be exact, but I'm giving you the concept that without an HOA fee, they could buy more house. However, with that $193,000 house, I'm assuming that their property taxes are similar to this one at around $1,800 a year. If indeed they have to pay more property tax, well, they're going to be factored back down in this sense. And I think that pretty much concludes all I can comment on this. We can see here the Z estimate history that the value, the price compared to Palos Heights is lowered, significantly lower, right? This zip code is at 278, and yet the property is, you know, way lower. So I would continue to investigate and see what's causing this lower price, and look at some other comparables around this neighborhood. But overall, I mean, those are my thoughts, and hope that helps. Hope that brings some insight into this property. And I'll talk to you later. Until next time.